Good afternoon, officially, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate you coming together to learn about this topic of the Public Library Staffing and Salary Study Dashboard and the Compensation Handbook. And so today we have Cara Orban, who's going to walk us through. We also have with us Rebecca Camp, who will also be able to answer questions and help us with this exploration of what that staffing and salary study looks like, and to dive into the resources that are there to accompany that information. So with that, I'm going to learn about these things, learn about more resources. Please do use the chat, or even if we have a chance to speak up and ask your questions. This is a kind of a big topic, and there's a lot of interest in it. So let's use this time to both pose those questions and share information across the state. And so with that, Cara, take it away.
Thank you, Colette. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I wanted to start off by asking you, what are your questions that you're seeking answers to about salaries and job classifications for the positions in your library? What would you like to know more about? It's okay if you don't have any specific questions, but you can feel free to put them in chat, or if you want to unmute yourself. I would just like to make sure that we address any specific questions that you had coming into this webinar today. So as you're thinking about it, if you have questions, please put them in chat and we'll be monitoring chat. And okay, we have a question from Sunday. Our librarians haven't had a cost of living increase in 3 years. Where are you finding the funding to give basic wage increases, not to mention deserved raises? I think this is a question for the group, for our trustees and our directors. Where are we finding the funding to give wage increases? I'm going to note that question, and we are definitely going to return to it. And if people have responses you want to put in chat, feel free. And Mary in Joliet said, I feel like we need to pay our employees more. I want to see if what we are paying is on level with other libraries. Excellent. We are going to get to that data. So I'm going to stop sharing my camera and I'm going to share my screen. And I believe that now you are seeing the Montana State Library homepage, which is where we're going to start. So for those of you just joining us, I asked if you have any specific questions, please put them in chat. We'll be monitoring chat and we'll try to address your questions. Also, feel free to ask questions of each other. If you have questions for your fellow trustees and directors, this is a great opportunity to have this discussion. Stacy says, I am planning on asking our board for a raise for my employees next Thursday. I am so nervous. Good for you, Stacy. That's awesome. So I hope that you pick up something from today's webinar that might help you prepare for that conversation. Okay, so we are starting here at the homepage. Today, we're going to review the salary study dashboard and some other resources that provide data about compensation and living wage here in Montana. And we're also going to look through the Compensation Handbook, which is a companion piece to the dashboard. And we're going to highlight the tools you can find within that handbook to help you as you think about the compensation issues in your own library and your community. So to get to the resources we're looking at today, there are a couple of different ways that you can get to the dashboard. First, if you are here on the Montana State Library homepage, which is msl.mt.gov, you're simply going to scroll down to the dashboards tile in the lower right corner, and then you're on the dashboards page. And all of these lovely dashboards are maintained by our data coordinator, Rebecca Camp, who is also here with us today. And in the lower left corner of this dashboards page, there's the Public Library Staffing and Salaries dashboard. You can also find the dashboard and the other resources we're going to talk about today on the personnel support page, which you can get to, again, if you're at the home page, you can click on the Services to Libraries drop-down menu, and then Library Development. And then down here in the Public Library Consulting Services tile. Down here under Personnel Support, this is where all of these resources are located. So we have a video about managing personnel from our YouTube channel embedded here. And then we also have a link to the dashboard embedded here. And then our handbooks. I think you should all be familiar with our library director manual and our trustee manuals. And then we also have the Compensation Handbook and sample library job descriptions. And we'll take a look at these two on the left in a little bit after we look at the dashboard. So first of all, some background on the salary study. So the State Library conducted a survey of public library wages in 2023. And the desired outcomes, which you can also see on this page. The desired outcomes for the survey were for the state library to have more information to help state library staff make decisions about how to support libraries in this area, to help library directors and trustees to have access to information about comparable wages around Montana so that they can try to make more competitive job offers and wage adjustments for your current staff where appropriate, to help your local government have data so that they can support healthy library staff wages, and to help to keep your library competitive as a workplace. And also to, of course, the reason we do everything is to ensure that Montanans receive better library services because their communities can hire and retain highly qualified staff. And so we had a really great response to this survey. 97% of public and tribal libraries in Montana responded to the survey. And these results are laid out in the Public Library Staffing and Salaries dashboard, which again, this is maintained by Rebecca. And before we walk through the dashboard, a few quick updates about the data. As I said, this was run in 2023, nearly 2 years old. So State Library is planning to collect fresh data about library salaries through the library public libraries survey. That's the statistical report, and that opens in October. And so based on feedback from the last round of the survey, the position definitions are going to be further clarified. So we'll look at that in a little bit. When you see the position definitions, you'll see what we mean. And then also, last time, many libraries struggled to find a starting rate for some positions for a number of reasons. Maybe the position hadn't been posted for many years, or the wages were variable depending on education and experience. So the survey is going to ask for a current minimum instead of a starting rate based on the job description. The education requirements are going to be modified to ask about other types of education, including high school diplomas, all the way to PhDs. It will also include the MLS and other types of master's degrees, so that we have a wider range of credentials reflected in our library director's education experience. And so those data elements and definitions will be posted later in the summer before the reporting period starts. So that's just some updates about what's going on with the data and how that's going to change this year. So starting out on this is the landing page, and we have several tabs here. We're going to briefly walk through each of those tabs. And as you have questions or observations about this data, please feel free to chime in or ask questions. So the start is the About the Survey tab. So this page introduces the survey. And in this map, you can see dots representing all the libraries that participated in the survey in 2023. And the blue dots are public libraries, and the red dots are tribal libraries. So if you hover over those dots with your mouse, you'll see the names of the libraries that were reporting. So again, this survey was included as part of the annual Public Libraries Survey. That's the statistical survey. And if you're interested in looking at the rest of the data that was collected through that survey, which is collected every year, you can click on this link down here to find that dashboard. Here in the lower right, we have a breakdown of our libraries by size and how many total FTE are represented by those library sizes, and then the average FTE by library. And I think you probably all know what FTE is, but I don't want to assume. So if you aren't familiar, FTE is an acronym which means full-time employee. And so that represents 40 hours of staff work in most places. And you might have 2 part-time employees, for example, who are each working 20 hours a week. And so their time would add up to 1 FTE. So that's the About the Survey tab. Moving on to the Living Wage tab. So this tab has a chart which shows the libraries by service area population and the wages that they pay their library directors, and whether those wages meet the definition of a living wage. So a living wage is defined here as what one full-time worker must earn on an hourly basis to help cover the cost of their family's minimum basic needs where they live while still being self-sufficient. And the dots are color-coded so that you can see which ones meet the living wage threshold and which do not. And if you hover over one of the dots, you'll be able to see what that library's hourly wage for their director is, as well as the service area population. We did not include the name of the library so that this data could be anonymized, but the purpose is to give you a basis for comparison within your library's service area population range. And then here at the bottom, we have some takeaways about the hourly living wage for the state of Montana. And of course, this is going to be variable depending on your community where you live and what your community's wage is going to be. And then there's the percentage of library directors who are paid below that living wage and those who are paid below the median for other kinds of similar management positions. An update on the living wage data is that the Living Wage Institute just released a refreshed data set. And so new figures for Montana counties and metro areas are available on that website. We have a couple of links down here. At the bottom of the page, you have a link to the MIT Living Wage Calculator. There's that page. And this provides some detailed figures for Montana. We also have a link to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics website, and you can click through to find Montana data on wages across occupation classifications within Montana. Do you have any questions or comments about the living wage tab? Okay, so the next tab is Director Qualifications. And this tab provides data on our library directors and what size library they work at, the hourly wages they're earning, and how many years of experience they have working as a director. And again, these dots are color-coded by library service area population so that you can easily look at the other libraries within your library size range. And you can follow the axis to compare the libraries with similar wages or with directors who have the same number of years of experience. So there are several directors with about 25 years of experience, and then you can see, okay, those are about the same library size, same years of experience, and then their hourly wages. The note below the chart does observe that more years of experience usually correlates with higher wages, but that may not be the case in smaller libraries. There's less of a strong correlation. This tab also provides data on the median wage for directors who have a Master of Library Science compared with those who do not, as well as the number of locations where the director at the time of reporting did or did not have a Master of Library Science. Any questions or comments about this tab? Okay, so now we're moving on to the similar positions tab. And this tab provides data on other management level positions within government here in Montana. So you can compare your director's salary with that of other public libraries, and you can also use this data to compare your director's salary with positions with similar levels of responsibility within local government. And this could make a case for better pay equity within your local government. If you see that your director, who might be considered a department head in many cases, are they making a similar wage to other department heads with a similar number of years of experience or level of responsibility, number of people they're supervising, things like that. And you can see that the bars are color coded to show you where the data is coming from. And then down here at the bottom, we have some key takeaways from this data about the average wage for similar management level positions and the pay disparity between those positions and the average director's wage in Montana. And then finally, in the lower right corner, we have links to data resources, the Montana Association of Counties, the Montana League of Cities and Towns, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Do you have any questions about this tab or comments?
Cara, this is Jonna, and I just had a question about library wages in the Montana Association of Counties, because as I recall, libraries really aren't listed there, are they? It seems like every other job is except for libraries. Is that correct?
Well,
Or it's on some data sheet that I know our commissioners have, and libraries weren't listed.
Donna, this is Rebecca, and that's what I recall as well. And some of the other resources where library positions are listed, they only list maybe one or two of those positions, which was also one of the big motivators for doing this survey on our own, so we could get more of that detail that is specific to our libraries around the state.
So here's the list of positions in the MACO documents for what it's worth. So you can find this linked. This is under resources and data on the MACO website. And then there's a link to salary information. And you can find that from this tab here. All right, we've been talking exclusively about the director's wages up to this point, and now we're going to look at a tab that includes other positions in your library. So this is the Library Occupations tab. Starting again with the director, we have some data about the library director position with a breakdown by library service area population, by library budget, and by geographic region. And you can see in the map in the lower right corner where these regions are located. And these are what we call library federations. You might find a geographic breakdown more useful if you know that your cost of living where you live is very different from a cost of living in a similar sized town in another part of the state. So that's why we have these different ways for you to evaluate this data. And in the center, we have, I guess it's not really in the center. In the right-hand side, we have a description of the library director position and then the median wage statewide for public library directors. And so then, as you can see, we have separate tabs for several different types of positions within the library that will offer you the same way of breaking out the data and evaluating it from those different angles. So we have data on assistant directors, branch managers, department managers, supervisors, librarian 2, librarian 1, assistant, aide, and IT staff. And you probably don't have all of those people in your library unless you're a really big library, and your positions might go by a different name. So that's why we have the descriptions here so that you can click through the tabs and read the descriptions to find the position that seems most aligned with the position that you are reviewing. So for example, a library aide could be called a library clerk or a page or materials handler or something like that. But in the survey, we were trying to standardize these jobs by what their classification would probably be so that we could calculate what that median wage would be for that kind of work. Any questions about this tab or observations? Okay, finally, we have a volunteers tab, and this provides a breakdown of the volunteer hours reported in each library. Again, by library service area population, by library budget, and by geographic region. And this data may be useful. We know that volunteers can be an important supplemental workforce in your library, but it's important for the people reviewing your budget and approving your budget to remember that volunteers are not a substitute for paid staff, and your personnel budget should not be negatively impacted by the availability of volunteers. So this data provides a basis for comparison with how much volunteer time other libraries are reporting. Do you have any questions or comments about the volunteers tab? So that is the dashboard. And do you have any questions overall about the dashboard? If not, then we are going to jump into the compensation handbook. And again, I'm going to navigate to that, going into library development, consulting services, and personnel support. So there's the dashboard. And then here under handbooks on the left-hand side, we have Compensation Handbook. This is a PDF. You can print it off. You can just look at it online, whatever you prefer. And this is a companion piece to the dashboard. And it's going to walk you through the tabs in a similar way to what we just did. And it's also going to suggest some action items to help supplement your learning. So let's go to living wage page, for example. This page includes an action item, and it says, review the Montana Occupational Employment and Wage Statistics Report and the living wage calculator. And then we provide those links. They're embedded in the documents, and you can also find them in the dashboard. And then we ask some questions. What did you learn from this report? What did you learn about your area's cost of living? Based on what you learned, would you need to change your library's salary ranges to be more competitive and to meet the local living wage minimum? And so you'll find these action items and questions for each of these tabs throughout the handbook. And these are meant to help you navigate the data and also to guide your evaluation of your library's wages. If we scroll down to page 11, under library occupations, we have a section on writing job descriptions. And you may find this useful if you have an open position and need to revise or write a new job description. And then scrolling down to page 15, bringing it all together, this is a suggested action plan for putting this data to use. So using everything that you will have learned about wages and job classification comparisons and level of experience and your local community's living wage and other similar positions within your local government, what do you think would be a fair hourly wage for the position you are considering? And then who do you need to talk to propose some changes to your library's classifications or salary ranges? Who should be involved in that conversation? So definitely your board. It's your board's legal responsibility to obviously to hire and set the salary for the director. And it's also the board's responsibility to oversee the budget, which is usually going to include your personnel budget. So working with your local government to talk about what's fair within your community, within your local government payroll, and also advocating for your library staff salaries. That's definitely something that your board is going to want to be involved in. And if you're working for changing some staff salary ranges for the staff that report to the director, then you also want to involve the director in that conversation. And we have shared some talking points here as well from the Iowa State Library's Compensation Toolkit, and this may help you to prepare for this kind of conversation. And then finally, page 17, sometimes we talk about this kind of stuff and people get really sad because they think, oh, there's nothing we can do about this. We really can't do anything about our salaries. And we acknowledge that it's the reality is your local government's budget may not be able to accommodate wage increases or adjustments at the time that you're looking at this. And so if you don't have those kind of options, you can think about other ways to make your library an appealing place to work. So why would someone work at the library when they can make more money working at the town pump? Is a question that I've heard more than once, actually. And so I'm going to ask you all what you would say to that. Why would you work at the library when you could go work at the gas station and make more? Well, they're so quiet. Don't you have any? Okay. Adam says we have a passion for public service, literacy, and books. Casey says, I love my job. Jamie says the people and patrons. Mitch says no mandatory late evening hours. Mary says better hours, professional environment, working with a wide range of ages. Sunday says it's an unfair question though. No one wants to work at a gas station. So I think you're saying let's flip that and say library is a really cool place to work and a pleasant atmosphere. Coworkers, yeah. Adam says I don't have to be a teacher and still get to work in the education field. Yeah, helping to inform and support a literate community. Denise says holiday pay and vacation and sick, so we can provide benefits. So what I'm hearing is let's look at this section here, EVP, your values. It sounds like you all really feel good about the values the library is supporting, that what you're supporting for your community and in making the community a better place to live. That's all satisfying, but for people and their schedules, there may be some flexibility, some benefits. Yeah, it's good to think about those kind of ways that we can make our libraries as humane and flexible for our employees as possible as a way to make them enticing places to work, even if we can't pay people what they really should be making. I mean, we should always try to push for those fair salaries, but these are also intangible things that make the library a really cool place to work. Let's see. Mary asks, are there questions on the survey about benefits, insurance, leave, etc.? Great question.
So right now on the survey, benefits are part of the total staff compensation questions. So we didn't ask it on the individual each position level, but that information is available as a total for the library within the public library survey, the public library statistical survey.
Great question. Any other questions or comments about the compensation handbook? The last document that we wanted to share with you today is also on the personnel support page, and it is the sample library job descriptions document. And as the title suggests, it provides some generic job profiles for different library positions, which could be helpful to you when you need to revise or write a new job description. And the disclaimer at the bottom of this table of contents page says, use and adapt these according to your local policies and human resources requirements. So if you have an HR person or somebody in your town or county who is involved in recruitment, definitely work with them on putting together a job description. And thank you to the Huckleberry County Library for working with us on these examples. Okay, that is the formal run through of everything that we wanted to show you. So I'm going to stop talking and ask you what questions you have. What's the problem you're trying to solve? If you have a problem, comments, observations. If you have questions for your fellow directors and trustees in the audience, now is a great time to ask. So feel free to unmute yourselves or type in the chat. We want to know what's on your minds. Why did you come to this webinar today? What do you want to know?
Well, I really appreciate the run through of everything, so I know where to go to look for all this information, and I can go back and review it. So I really appreciate all this, and the job descriptions. We need to redo our job descriptions. It's been a while, so I'm definitely gonna take a look at that and use that as a jumping off board too. So I appreciate all this very much.
We have a question. Well, we have an okay comment from Rebecca. If you're in the public library survey, the item you're looking for is called operating expenses, employee benefits. That gets you to the numbers if you're looking for data on benefits. Sunday had the question about how do you make room in your budget for cost of living increases? If you cannot increase your budget, how do you address that? Or is that the question that you all want to know the answer to? Has anybody successfully gone to your local government and asked for a raise, or your board has gone to ask for a raise for your staff?
This is Stacy from Darby Library. And I've gotten raises for my staff for the last couple of years in a row, very small raises. I'm going to ask for $1 an hour raise next Thursday at my board meeting. But like Sunday's saying, I'm going into my budget and I'm taking $1,000 out of summer reading and $500 out of other important things, trying to come up with the $3,500 to give my staff $1 an hour raise. So I don't have the answer to that. I just like, that's where I'm at in a week.
I made the argument this year that the state legislature approved $1 an hour raise for everybody, and or a percentage, whichever was higher. Of course, the percentage was not higher for any of our people, but the board reacted well to that. That if all the state employees were getting $1 an hour raise, and the legislature approved that we should try to do it too. As long as it fit into the budget. So they said, as long as we have the money, we should do it.
Nikki says, taking from my staff's work budget to add to their salary can be demoralizing for them as well. Yes, so Sunday says our county agrees that we should try to follow their increases. But the question is, where do you get the funding to do so? Will the county give you more money if you ask? Or will they say, no, you need to find it out of your current budget? LOL, no. Is that the case for all of you, or have some of you been successful in asking your county to increase your budget so that you can cover cost increases, personnel cost of living increases? Dusty says yes. Can you say more about that, Dusty? I don't want to put you on the spot, but.
I meant yes, like no, they won't give us more money. They sent us an email this year that said that we cannot account for increases in our budget to wages. Like the wages have to come from other line items, and the increase to the wage is mandatory. So no, they're not giving us more money, but
This is Jonna. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's interesting how across the state, the different counties pay for their employees and what they use to support raises or not raises. I had a conversation with my commissioners a couple years ago. And one of the things that I got back was, well, you know, it's hard to really know what to give you for a raise because you're not listed in the MACO. And, you know, how do you compare with some of the other libraries that are similar? And my response was, well, yeah, I can see that, but each county is kind of its own special thing. Counties near us may not have the same type of funding or tax base that we do. And there are salaries in our county in different departments that are higher than other counties. And so I looked a lot at, well, what are the department heads in our county making, and why am I making such a low wage compared to other department heads that didn't have experience that perhaps that I did, or years of experience, or, you know, I've been the longest department head in the county, and they wouldn't even take that into consideration. So it's kind of funky. I mean, it might depend on who your county commissioners are too, and what they're willing to listen to or visit about. It's tricky.
Also, I feel like in our county and in our small town in particular in Darby, our cost of living has exploded in just the last couple of years. So I don't know if it's, in 2023 when this was done, if that, you know what I mean? If that will account for that, but our cost of living has just skyrocketed here because of the movie Yellowstone. We're now a resort town, essentially.
I'm interested in seeing the updated data from the Living Wage Institute, and I'll be sure to incorporate that and when we make the refreshes to the dashboard after collecting data this fall.
Let's read a couple of comments in the chat. Cole says that this is where your strategic plan might help focus on the issue. Is this a priority? Is supporting competitive wages for your staff? Is this a priority in your written plan? No magic pots of money, so the long-term work needed to make the case to local government or building the case is a lot of work. Yes. The data in the dashboard and handbooks can hopefully provide objective data and some approaches to build the case with funding bodies. And then Mitch says, I wonder if MACo would be willing to offer MSL's information on their own website, or at least link to it for those city and county commissioners who are dependent upon MACo's 2 cents. Something worth looking into. So what more do you all need to try to tackle this issue? It sounds like it's a pretty daunting issue, and there may not be money in your city or county to ask for. So what's the next step then? What do you need from us? What would you like your decision makers to know? Sunday asks, is it possible for MSL to cover some of our costs like software or something? It seems like we're paying an exorbitant amount of money for workflows. And that's definitely something that we have tried to approach the legislature with at least the last couple of sessions, trying to get more money for those statewide programs. And I believe that there will be efforts in the next session as well. There's going to be an interim study on the impact of our resource sharing programs, which we hope will build the case for requesting additional funds in the next session. But that's a couple of years out. Yes, that would definitely help to offset some of your costs. In terms of support and trying to make a case in your local situation, what more can we do to support you? We've tried to provide the data to help you build a case for pay equity, but what else could we do to help you?
Learning how to work with your local government officials is probably a key part of it. I think the library gets overlooked a lot when there are other departments that are clamoring for funding. In our county, the road department is a big department, and the road department takes up a lot of time and energy and money. So, building a relationship with your local county officials, that takes time too. But I think it could be really useful when you have to approach them about, hey, look at us, wave your little flag. It's time now to look at the library, and provide support for the library in terms of salaries. If you can build a relationship at some point with one or two of them, I think that could be helpful. If you can. If.
One suggestion that came in to me directly was an idea for funds could also come from perhaps your friends group. If they can help cover things like ILL, postage, the Imagination Library, or summer reading, that might help create some room in a budget as well.
Any other thoughts or questions or ideas, recommendations? Have some comments in the chat about the challenge of going for additional mills, especially right now in this political climate. And then the challenge of using your friends and foundations to supplement your budget. Yeah, not a great time to ask for money. It may not be a great time to ask for money. I think Jana's observation is very wise, that it's a good time to build those relationships with your decision makers, or that we would encourage your board to build in that practice of checking in with your decision makers, and even just letting them know what's going right in the library. Because eventually there will be a good time to ask for money, and you want to be ready for that and have that good standing with your local government. This is tough. This is a really tough subject, and I wish we did have a pot of money to offset costs or to help you all to increase your budgets. We've tried to provide what data we have. And we also have some resources on building those local government relationships, and you can find that as well on the consulting page. We have a tile that's specifically about local government and local government relationships, if you think that that would be worth looking at and discussing with your board. Mitch has a comment in chat. Find your best ally at the city or county and work with them to develop an interlocal agreement that is flexible enough to allow for reasonable wages. If your commissioners are sick of fighting with you every year about the budget, maybe they'd welcome the library's budget being somewhat set in stone. Anything else? Any last comments or questions? We hope that these resources are helpful to you, and if you want to ruminate on these and check in with us, we're here to discuss and help you to build strategies, whether you're going to go talk to your local government or you want to start laying that groundwork and building up or repairing relationships. We're here to help support that work. So please reach out to us if you have questions or ideas, or just would like some guidance or just some feedback on what you're trying to do in your community.